A mentally ill transgender person has carried out a school shooting today at a Catholic church next to a Catholic school where kids were attending mass today. This person was obviously, like I said, mentally ill. We know they were transgender. They changed their name. Not much more is known about them, but we know about their manifesto where it's revealed how mentally ill they were. They had messages on all of their weapons, on his weapons, I should say. It was a person born a man who later decided to transition to a woman and eventually seemed to have some hatred of the faith, grew up Catholic, it seems, had a mother that worked for the church, and then later grew some resentment for the church for whatever reason, resentment for God, and then carried out this terrible attack on a Catholic church, specifically targeting children as well, which we'll get to. Yeah, just a terrible thing to happen. I'll say this, there seems to be a pattern here, which a lot of people are noticing, and people are starting to wake up and realize that transgenderism is a mental illness, and not just in the sense of insulting somebody and saying, "Oh, you're mentally ill," like you're a moron or something. I think people are going to start to realize that when we say mentally ill, we mean actually mentally ill, like schizophrenic, like you have something wrong with you that you just don't see reality the way it is. And that's no different from a schizophrenic. If you don't see reality the way it is, something's wrong with you. This person, for the same reason, grew some resentment for the church, grew some resentment towards children specifically, and carried out this vicious attack. And we'll see some drawings from him. And a lot of this, maybe for some of you people who aren't believers or aren't super religious, this may sound a little kind of supernatural, superstitious, I don't know. But he has the signs of demonic possession. He's a very evil person. When you look at his manifesto, his notes, his drawings, how premeditated this was, the way he speaks, it's very sick. And it wouldn't surprise me, especially being someone around the Catholic Church, he would have heard descriptions of this, of demonic possession, things like this. But anyway, we'll get to the details of the case, and we'll read through his manifesto later and discuss why this person was so mentally ill and how we know this, aside from the fact that they're transgender. Even if they weren't transgender, we'd know this based on the notes in his manifesto, a lot of which comes off as narcissistic and just judgy and just sick. We'll get to it. So the summary is 2 children aged 8 and 10 have been killed in the shooting and 17 people were injured. I believe all the people that were injured are expected to survive. The police chief says that they were shot while sitting in the pews at Mass at the Annunciation Catholic School. And I pulled up the school here. This is the school here on the side. And then here's the church. So I'm assuming the kids walk over to have Mass at the church, which isn't uncommon. I know at my local church here, I showed up to Mass one day, a daily Mass. I think it was like at 6 or 7 a.m. And kids were there, which surprised me because I didn't know they had Mass in the day. But yeah, I guess they walk over from the school. It's on the same parking lot. So, it's kind of like this where it's close enough to walk. So I guess they walked from the school to have Mass. And this guy knew they were going to be there and he planned the shooting in advance. The attacker has been identified as Robin Westman, who is 23 from suburban Minneapolis. I'm not sure if Robin was his birth name. I know he changed his name at some point, supposedly to identify with whatever gender he felt more comfortable with. But I'm not sure if Robin was his birth name or if that's his new name, his legal name. The suspect was armed with a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol, shot through the church windows, and then died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Now, there's a video that he released on his YouTube channel, and I do want to get to this also, how the police didn't know about this, because he released videos revealing what he was going to do, essentially, before he carried out the attack. And this was on his YouTube channel. It was public. He posted it hours before, as far as I know. Maybe it was posted the day before, I'm not sure. But he did post it before the attack. And so this is something that maybe could have been prevented. Yeah, I don't know how that would work in terms of the police force, but I feel like somebody maybe dropped the ball. They should have known this. This was public information. This was on YouTube. And of course, now YouTube has since deleted his channel. But we do have one of the recordings, and that's where we have the manifesto from. And you also see in the video, he shows off the weapons he's going to use. I guess I'll pull up the video here. It's very sickening, so it's hard to watch because the guy, he's kind of rambling. like I said, he has all the makings of a mentally ill individual in terms of the way he speaks, the noises he makes, like the voices he makes. Like I said, all the signs of demonic possession, as you can see here. He has, let me full screen this. He has a target with Jesus Christ on the head of the target. So obviously, like I said, he has some resentment, some hatred toward the faith, and this is the weapons he used when he carried out the attack. And he has a bunch of writings, of course. Now, this person was also obsessed. He kind of idolized school shooters, and you note that with some of the writings on the weapons and the writings in his manifesto. So he took some pride in this. He took some enjoyment out of the fact that people would talk about him. And I don't want to cover this to kind of bring attention to him, because in a way that he would like, obviously, even though I realize that that's kind of what I'm doing. What I want to do is help people realize that these school shootings are always a result of mentally ill people, right? Not of guns, not of anything else really, other than the individual themselves being mentally ill, and in this case, possibly demonically possessed. So yeah, he reveals the three, as they described, the three weapons that were used in a couple handguns. It looks like a shotgun and a rifle that were used in the attack. And of course, he goes through every message. Maybe we'll read a few of them. Maybe I don't know that I really want to go through all of them. They have some, I mean, you can see some of them have profane messages on them. They have some references, of course, threats to the president. This saying, Israel must fall, seems like an anti-Semite as well. This is also another sign that he is specifically targeting Christians. And I should say, we are facing in this country an anti-Christian sentiment. Christians are being attacked. And I think that's kind of a strong way to put it maybe, but I don't think it's inaccurate, you know? I think Christians are an easy target. I think they let themselves get walked over. That's why I appreciate Christians like Jay Dyer and Andrew Wilson, who are very strong, who are very, they don't back down. They defend the faith strongly. I like these kind of outspoken apologists, people who are conservative, who use their faith in defending their ideas, because I think a lot of people don't realize what we're dealing with. And it's things like this. This is the extreme end of it, obviously. But a lot of people might share some of this sentiment that religion is silly, we need to get past that, there's a separation of church and state, Christian ideas are hurtful, or they're judgy, or hypocritical, or any of these things. And what these people don't realize is that Christianity is what's holding our society together, and the abolition of it, the kind of deconversion of all Christians, would mean the end of our society. But all that to say, this message, take this, all of you need. If you're a Catholic, you'll recognize this. It is, or a Christian might recognize this as well. It is the words of Jesus creating the Eucharist and giving up his body for us at the Last Supper. And this is something that is said during Mass. So obviously that's what this is in reference to. It's a sick joke, I suppose, to this person. And yeah, a bunch of other messages. Nothing really worth commenting on, really. Let me see. Yeah, he has the wood that he's going to block the doors with, which it seems that he did do whenever he got in. Where's your God? He has on one of the magazines. He's obviously mocking believers. He has on the handgun the name Vicky Weaver, which I believe is a reference to the Ruby Ridge confrontation, where Vicky Weaver was the wife of the man who was defending himself from the FBI. I don't know too much about that scenario. I know it was a standoff where the FBI shot at some guy. It seems unrelated, this one. Let me go back, because he had on one of the magazines the names of other famous, I believe they're all school shooters. Let me see where it is. It's like early in the video. You can see him there with a vape. He also had a vape addiction and claims that this is one of the reasons why he killed himself, or would kill himself after this video. Look, as you can see, he's going through every single magazine, taking kind of delight in the fact that people will see this eventually. So these names, I don't recognize these names, but apparently these are all school shooters. Lanza, I think. I'm not even going to try to remember where these are from, because you can look up these names. Other people have documented it. I don't think I have. Yeah, I had a tab open describing where exactly they're from. But yeah, they're all references to school shooters. I think in his manifesto, maybe he mentions them. I'm not sure. I only have one of the videos. There were 2 videos uploaded that day or the day before the shooting. But I only have one of them, and that's where the manifesto is. And we'll get around to it and read read that. Trump said that he would that the flags at the White House would be at half staff. These are some scenes outside of the school after the shooting. Yeah, so we'll pull up this article real quick, which reveals some more information. Let me close this because there are some other details about him. Let me see. Of course, the shooter was 23-year-old Robin Westman. Westman's mother was an employee at Annunciation School. Records show Westman's mother retired from the school in 2021. It is also believed that Westman had attended the school for at least 1 year and had visited the school in the last week while teachers prepared for the upcoming school year. In the wake of the shooting, a video depicting an apparent manifesto-style document was posted on YouTube from an account believed to be associated with Westman. Lago said officials are actively investigating the authenticity of the video, which is posted around 9 a.m., about 30 minutes after shots were fired. Okay, so it seems the video, that makes sense. The video was recorded the day before and he posted it the next day. Although I suppose it was scheduled to post because it posted after the event happened. So yeah, they mentioned they're translating some of the text from the manifesto because it's written in Russian. So maybe we can see some of what he wrote. But it's kind of incoherent. It's kind of nonsense. And that's why I mentioned some of these things of demonic possession as as crazy as it may sound to some of you. It's very incoherent and rambling and kind of evil type of speak. In one of the last entries from August 20th, Westman allegedly wrote about visiting the church and a plan to carry out a violent attack. Westman allegedly wrote about the teachers' training week and how the staff were probably receiving active shooter training, allegedly writing, "I bet they won't anticipate an attack in the first week." They mentioned him visiting a shooting range leading up to the event, and they confirmed that all 3 of the weapons he had were legally purchased. Okay, so Westman was born as Robert. Okay, so we got our confirmation. He was born as Robert, now identifies as Robin. I'm going to call him Robert. I don't care what he wants to be called. He was born a man, so we're going to call him by his birth name, Robert Westman. And when he was 17 years old, he decided to change to Robin, and it was granted to him in 2020. The petition added that Westman identifies as a female and wants his name to reflect that identification. 5 years later, he seemed to have backed away from that identity. See, this is something also, like I said, these people are just confused, mentally ill. They have too much time on their hands. They don't have anything to do, no goals in life, no motivation, nothing to work towards. Yeah, they just need something to do, really. And this is what they spend their time on, spending their time learning this ideology, wasting their time on this nonsense. He said, "I don't want to dress girly all the time, but I guess sometimes I really like it. I know I'm not a woman, but I definitely don't feel like a man. I really like my outfit. I look pretty smart and modest. I think I want to wear something like this for my shooting." It sounds like he also described why Annunciation, that's the name of the church. "I'm feeling good about Annunciation. It seems like a good combo of easy attack, form, and devastating tragedy, and I want to do more research. I have concerns about finding a large enough group. I want to avoid any parents, but pre and post school drop off." Yeah, so I find this weird that he targeted kids specifically. He wanted to avoid adults, it seems like. He says, "Maybe I could attack an event at the on-site church. I think attacking a large group of kids coming in from recess is my best plan. Then from there I can go inside and kill, going for as long as I can." So this is an image of his manifesto from the video. I couldn't find this video. This is the video we have open on the other screen, but either way, the manifesto is visible. There's some images in this video that aren't visible in the other one. It's the image of him with him looking in the mirror. It's like a drawing of him looking in the mirror with like a demon, a horned creature looking back. And he says a bunch of nonsense, targeting Trump, Elon. Yeah, so this is one of the diagrams in his book. So this seems to be like a layout, like a drawn layout of the Annunciation Church. So he was really planning this. Let me see if there's other screenshots here. I'd like to see if we could see the image of him in the mirror, because I think this one was kind of indicative of his mind state. I'm going to open a new tab here. Okay, so this is one video. This seems to be like the manifesto, but I don't think this is the one we're looking for. Let me scroll through it real quick. So this seems to be all written in Russian. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to read this, obviously. Okay, so there seems to be several videos. Let me try and find the other one that I was looking for. Okay, this is what I was looking for. We're going to read this caption real quick. "This drawing in the shooter's manifesto tells me the leftist ideology had that kid so confused and messed up. He didn't have a clue what he was, and under this kind of mental anguish, it creates a path of least resistance for a demon to slip in. A demon would attack children in a church. That's my take. Yeah, so see, a lot of people are kind of sharing this sentiment that this is demonic possession. I feel like people are more open to the idea in the current world where we're becoming a lot more spiritual. I feel like we're returning to church. I think a lot of people are. We realize there's something missing in the world. If it's just empty and atheist and without meaning, nihilistic, and there's something to life, more than just your day-to-day, what you want to live for, your pleasures. And so, like I said, people are open to this idea of him being demonically possessed. And it seems like there are clues to that. I know there are some translations. I don't see anybody translating it here, but basically they're kind of some vague, weird sentiments about death and how long will this last, something like that. It says here at the top. And as you can see, this is him with a rifle on his back, a pistol on his hip, and looking into the mirror and kind of looking at himself and what he sees himself as. So maybe this is his kind of documenting what he sees inside of himself, what he's possessed by in a way. But whether it's possession or mental illness, I mean, it's clear that something was wrong with this guy. Okay, so we'll finally get to the manifesto, and I think that'll be the end of this video. There's actually not too much to cover. Like I said, we don't know that much about this person. We don't know that much about their history. We know they're trans, their age, where they're from, their motivations. So that's kind of the end of the case. They killed themselves after committing the violent, terrible, atrocious act. So all that to just kind of bring awareness to mental illness and how bad it can be. But we're going to go ahead and read this manifesto and criticize them for how insane they are. And yeah, let's read this. To my family and friends, I don't expect forgiveness and I don't expect any apology. I have to hold much weight. But to my family and those close to me, I do apologize for the effects my action will have on your lives. Please know I care for all of you so much, and it pains me to bring this storm of chaos into your lives. This will affect so many more people than the ones that are immediately involved. Yeah, like the people, like the families of those children that were hurt, were killed. Like, way to think about yourself, bud. Please know I care for all of you so much. You cared for them so much that you had to go through with your act. Like, it was so important to you to do this thing that you didn't care about how your family would be affected, despite you saying that you care so deeply about them. As you'll see, there's a lot of clues, a lot of signs of narcissism in this manifesto, which doesn't surprise me considering the messages he left on the gun. The magazines. He wanted people to talk about him. This is somebody who needed attention. To my mother and father, I'm sorry I didn't turn out as you had hoped. You did not fail me. You gave so much. I truly appreciate the love you have given up. I feel I was raised to be a good person. Were you? I've kept those traits of empathy, self-sacrifice, and good character. See, this is what I'm talking about, narcissism. No, you haven't. You see yourself in a way that nobody else does, that is objectively false, right? You see yourself as empathetic, self-sacrificial, someone with good character. All things that you are not, obviously, if you carry out a school shooting. You also see yourself as a woman, which you're obviously not. So there's kind of a link here, right? Like I said, of schizophrenia, of somebody seeing things that aren't the way they are. And look, transgenderism is kind of a minor way, right? It's not a huge deal. Okay, you see yourself as a woman. It's a big deal when you start forcing other people to believe that. But then you get these things. You start believing other things about yourself that aren't true, that you're empathetic, that you're self-sacrificial. You think you're a way that you're not actually behaving. That's problematic because it affects other people, right? The gender thing, that affects other people too, but it's minor, as long as you don't force me to call you by your pronouns or whatever. I don't care. You can dress however you want, I think there's something wrong with that, obviously, but it affects me a lot less than you thinking you're something that you're not actually in terms of your character. Please do not think you have failed as parents. I was corrupted by this world. I have learned to hate what life is. Life is love. Life is pain. Empty doesn't mean anything. There's too much to accept, too many things to put up with just to live. I'm tired of the pain this world gives out. Please move on and continue to give your love to my brothers and sisters and the rest of the world. They may not forgive you, but you need to move on from me. Forget my life and the pain I brought. I love you both. Thank you for everything. I'm sorry. I like the implication here that the shooter thinks that they're going to struggle to forget him, which they will. I mean, the shooter's a moron if he thinks it's going to be easy to move past this. This family's whole life is changed, as well as the families of the people involved in the shooting, the victims in the shooting. What about their family? What about them? It's like I said, it's key. It's token narcissism. It's just, I'm thinking about myself and my family. Screw you people. I don't care how you get affected. To my siblings, I'm sorry for forever tainting the rest of your lives. Your careers, lives, relationships, all will be turned upside down. Look, like I said, you aren't that sorry. If you premeditated this, you could have not done this, but you did it anyway, knowing the consequences. You didn't give a fuck. Let's be honest. You didn't care. Please hold on to who you are, not who I am. Change your names if you must. I wish I could tell you that before I go. Please know that I love you and I will truly appreciate the time I've spent with you. I have such an amazing family, and it hurts me to throw this wrench into the works of you good people. I feel hope when with you. I cherish our time together. I appreciate all that you have taught me, and I felt inspired to be like you when I grew up. I hope you are able to move on and continue your lives without being forever followed, forever haunted by my actions. Forget me and all that I am. Hold on to yourselves and your loved ones. I love you all. Now, it's almost kind of sick to read this, realizing that it's a school shooter, somebody about to commit a school shooting, because this letter kind of reads as someone like doing something kind of innocent, like, I don't know, abandoning their family, like disappearing or something. And you would think it's heartwarming, except when you realize what this person did, it's, like I said, it's just narcissistic. I'm sorry to keep using that word, but there's no other way to describe it, really. This is a sick person who only cares about themselves, thinks there's nothing else in the world other than them, and I guess maybe their family. They're just their friends next. And to my friends, I trust you all to give your memory of me however you see fit. I'm sorry for the confusion and heartbreak this will bring. I truly appreciate all of you for showing me a good life and helping me with dark times. I've had so many good times that gave me hope. Unfortunately, this world has too much pain to deal out that I can't cover up with the good sides of life. I hope you all can move on and forget the pain I've caused. Like I said, to ask people, it's just mind-boggling. To ask people to move on for something that you haven't done yet. Like, you could have prevented this. You could have just not done it. It's insane. I've wanted this for so long. I am not well. This is the first admission right here. I am not well. And that's when you seek help. You know, if you're a mentally ill person and you know it, and that this person knew he was mentally ill, and it's visible from the outside, mind you, his mom kind of accepted his delusion because it seems that she approved his name change. When what a caring, loving parent should have done and would do is to say, no, you're not a woman. You're mentally ill. You need to see a therapist or something. You need help. You need someone to tell you how the world actually is, how you actually are. You're a narcissistic, sick, mentally ill fuck. And you need to get put in check. You can't just let people believe nonsense and get away with it, because then they become this. I am not right. I am a sad person haunted by these things that do not go away. I know this is wrong, but I can't seem to stop myself. You know, signs of a demonic possession, somebody who's in between two minds. I am severely depressed and have been suicidal for years. Only recently have I lost all hope and decided to perform my final action against this world. I don't want to kneel down for the injustices of this world. Now, mind you, if you've lost all hope, why, and you're suicidal and you don't care about yourself, why do you have to take it out on other people? Why do you have to take it out on children? What did they do to you? Just kill yourself and get off this planet. You know, that sounds callous to say. I don't want anyone to kill themselves. I love all the people of the world. Not saying that in jest. I truly do. As a Christian, you know, it's my duty to love my fellow man. No matter what they've done, you forgive everyone for what they've done. But, you know, why do you have to do some sick shit like this? Like, just kill yourself. Why do you have to take out other people with you? I don't want to kneel down for the injustices of the world. I want to die. And you can just do it. You could just kill yourself. But no, you decided to take it out on children. I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees, constantly in pain. I think I am dying of cancer. Mind you, this guy's 23. He wasn't fucking dying of cancer. He's dying of mental illness. It's a tragic end, and it's entirely self-inflicted. I did this to myself as I cannot control myself, and I've been destroying my body through vaping and other means. So, I mean, obviously doesn't have impulse control, self-admittedly, this guy. I think I have lung cancer. I have felt many pains that make me think I am past the point of recovery. I do not want to recover. I do not want to throw my life away by rotting in a hospital bed. Now, this is someone who thinks all life is pleasure. Oh, I just need to feel good. My life has to be perfect. And if it's anything less than that, then I'm going to kill myself, because that's how life should be. My life should be perfect. I should have everything I want, my whim. I shouldn't have to suffer. And this is kind of a liberal mindset, the kind of handout mindset. I want my college paid for. I want my healthcare paid for. I want everything done for me. I don't want to have to work. I want to get food stamps. I want to be able to live free. Why does the government not pay for everything for me? That's this kind of mentality, this kind of handout, woe is me mentality, despite living in the first world, despite this person probably having a decent life. Looks like they live in a home. Looks like they seem to have a nice roof over their head. It seems like they have two loving parents that took them to church and cared about them. I mean, they're writing so nicely about them. And yet this person felt anguish and despair. And I think a lot of it is due to, well, obviously it's lack of meaning. And a lot of that is due to a lack of religion. I mean, if you have no purpose in life, no motivation, like what is there for you? If you really think you're helpless, worst case scenario, obviously not like this person. He had a lot to live for. He should have anyway. But if you're bedridden with cancer, terminal cancer, you know you're going to die, then some people that think like this might have a point. Like, what is the point of living? And life on earth is meant to glorify God. I was watching Dr. Taylor Marshall, cover this earlier. He is a Catholic apologist, if you don't know. Catholic, I don't know, influencer. I don't know how you describe him. But he says the purpose of us on earth after our conversion is to do what God says of us in the Our Father, and that is to make His will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And so our duty on earth is, until we get to heaven, to make it more like heaven, to convert people, to glorify God, to do things that are holy and good and just. That's our purpose in life. And you can always be doing that, despite whatever your situation might be. You can always be helping people, be a good person, don't feel despair, praise God, glorify Him, no matter your condition. And even then, this guy was not in a poor condition, like I said. There's people in third world countries, struggling to eat, people who don't have a roof over their heads. And this sick fuck thinks he lives a poor life, I don't want the rest of my life to be as a cancer patient in and out of hospitals, constantly being fretted around with people afraid to be too happy around me. Fuck that. I want to go out on my own means. Unfortunately, due to my depression, anger, and twisted mind, I want to fulfill a final act that has been in the back of my head for years. So this person was ruminating on this, really had been thinking about this. And I think I saw something that said since 7th grade, he had been idolizing school shooters. So something went wrong in his childhood, right? This person had, like I said, a mental illness, maybe some gene that causes you to have more demented thoughts. Or maybe his parents didn't deal with it when he was young. But I think a key thing to know here is that this person realizes that they're in between two minds. They realize they're mentally ill. They know there's something wrong with them. And yet nobody outside that cared about them realized this and got them help. You all are what kept me going. I find no more interest in anything material. Well, that's not true, because you decided to do a material act as your final act, as you say. If you didn't care about anything material, you'd have just killed yourself. You wouldn't have done anything else. So obviously you did have some interest. You cared about the way people saw you. So you're lying. I have only an interest in my mission and love for my family. Not true, because I guess his mission is the school shooting, is what he's trying to say. If I didn't have such an amazing group of people around me, I would have been gone much sooner. I just want to escape from this world, escape from the constant bills, shitty jobs, shitty people, and injustice of America. Oh, woe is me. You live such a fucking hard life in the first world country, like I said, with a roof over your head. Oh my gosh, you have to work a job, the worst part of your life, you sick fuck. If that's really your justification for school shooting, I mean, what do you think the rest of the world doesn't feel that way? You think we all wake up gleeful every day to go to work? I mean, yeah, you have bad days, you have good days. I mean, I think this is unique as Christians. Maybe we learn to embrace suffering. I don't know if this is a Catholic thing. I think other Christians might feel this way. We learn to carry your cross. Life isn't meant to be easy. We're here to suffer. We're here to work out our salvation. We're here to make the world a better place, and that's not easy. Obviously, people are going to be against you. You're going to have problems. Things are going to come up naturally. Evil exists, of course. And this seems like somebody who never got told no, who was always told the world should give you everything you need. The world should acquiesce to you, to your needs. This is just a spoiled brat, is what this is at the end of the day. He says, I'm done with this. I will not bow. I will be selfish. Yeah, we realize that. And leave you to pick up the pieces. It's my fault. Blame me, but please move on. You leave them and pick up the pieces, but you ask them to move on. How the fuck is that possible? It's just an oxymoron. Like you're talking out of two sides of your mouth. Like I said, a lot of this reads as somebody who's in between two minds. Whether you accept my apologies or not, I hope you all can move past this and continue your lives. Remember to be good people. Real rich coming from a school shooter. Now more than ever, the world needs more love. Oh, this kind of cuts off. I can't read the rest of this. But like I said, real rich coming from a school shooter, demanding love from other people. This goes to, sorry to my atheists watching this. I'm bringing up a lot of religious kind of ideas, but I think they're relevant, obviously. I forgot, this quote is attributed to I forgot, maybe Saint Francis. I don't think it's a real quote, but he says, preach the gospel at all times, and if necessary, use words. The reason I bring this up is because a key part of being a Christian, or of being a good person in general, is to live out your faith. Because if not, you're just a hypocrite. And that's exactly what this guy is. This guy's all the opposite. He's demanding that his family be good people, and yet he does this. You're in no position to speak. As a Christian, you want to call other people to follow Jesus, but you have to live it out first. You can't be a hypocrite and demand of other people something that you can't do, which is exactly what this guy's doing, which of course is ass backwards. He says, I love you all. I will remember you. Pray for the victims and their families. I love you, Dad, Mom, Jack, and he names a bunch of people. And he signs it with his new name, Robin. And then he leaves, like I said, another rich message demanding forgiveness from somebody he knows. Get over yourself and make up with Mom. She loves you. You need to grow up and accept that time just keeps on fucking moving. You either will stay in the past and rot, wasting your life and happiness away, or you can grow up and move on from things. We all love you. Like I said, real rich coming from him. This is a message he could have reworded to himself and realized that what he was about to do was just a big hissy fit. I hate to demean the actual event, the school shooting, but at the end of the day, this is something that he was stuck on. He had some issue in his life, grew some resentment towards something. It's unclear what his actual motive was. Maybe he was bullied or something, but this is what he should have told himself. He needed to grow up and accept that time just keeps on moving. Get over yourself. The world doesn't revolve around you. Everybody has problems. It's not like nobody had a perfect life, Just get over yourself. At the end, he kind of makes a weird threat, I guess. He says, I wouldn't recommend any of you read my journals unless you really want to, but be warned. So obviously he was demented. He probably had some worse stuff written in his journals. And so obviously a sick person, and people are realizing that trans shooters obviously are mentally ill, but I think the broader public has yet to realize this, and that when you're mentally ill, you do things like you take part in school shootings. You act in an unhinged way because you don't see reality the way it actually is. And of course, people pointing out his hypocrisy, quoting when he says, there's too much pain in this world, so I'll just open fire on a bunch of innocent kids at church. That should help. Of course, somebody putting a quote, and a lot of people are kind of bringing religion into this, and like I said, a lot of people are claiming this could be a demonic possession, which obviously I agree with as a Christian. I think it's very possible. This person putting up an image, a quote of Saint Anatoly of Tina. I'm not sure who this is. I am assuming this is an Orthodox saint. It is never too late for you to change your life. Give yourself... Oh, that's not the quote. Sorry, that's his caption. Wherever God is, there's peace. Wherever the devil, all is ruinous, proud, and hostile. So an unfortunate situation that happened in Minneapolis today. Praying for the kids and the families involved. And I'd ask all of you who maybe aren't Christian or are thinking of becoming Christian, to consider that this is the outcome of atheism, of agnosticism, of a lack of meaning, a lack of direction, motivation in life. It's just mental illness and meaninglessness and chasing your own pleasures and nihilism. Either you have a lack of meaning or your meaning is just pleasure. So I encourage you people, please consider saying a prayer if you haven't ever, for these children, for the world, for the mentally ill people out there, that they may heal from these type of ways of thinking. And yeah, an unfortunate situation all around.